Alright, we're back.
Ooh.
Alright.
Hey, hello everybody.
Alright.
Welcome
5,
back.
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so if you missed the cutscene that was playing here, basically the shrooms attack this poor little Holly Jolly village, which is its actual name, off in the cold winter of Mustard Kingdom. And this scene always just, the terrified look on that Toad's face always gets me. Anyway, so this is an unwinnable fight. The shrooms are going to attack a couple of times. It's easy enough to dodge them, but it is impossible to get yourself... Like, even if you fought every encounter on the way here, it is possible to get yourself to a level where you could take these 3 shrooms out. And there's a timer on the top of the screen, which when that hits 0, it just insta-kills the 2. So this fight basically becomes input the fastest series of commands and don't accidentally get hit a bunch before, yeah, you just get blown up. Get your baby rages ready, guys.
Alright, we're back. For real. For real this time.
For real this time.
Yeah, we inputted some cheats. We're gonna do them in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, we've reached infinite jumps, so we can just warp to Toad Town and just jump over that.
Alright, so you didn't miss anything. You missed some tutorial. You know, so you didn't miss anything.
Cutscenes.
Yeah, so the babies are going to avenge their fallen selves, I guess. So this fight quickly introduces you into how Baby Luigi works. That is, you press Y. The other thing with this fight is it teaches you about Bros items. So, unlike in other Mario and Luigi games, this game uses items for your Bros attacks, meaning you don't actually have a BP stat. Part of the routing of this game is making sure that you have all of the items that you need to take care of bosses. These shrooms you don't want to drop any inputs on. If you fail to one turn this, you have to sit through an attack and take an extra turn and be a bunch of extra animations. A nice lucky at the end there for style, even though luckies are completely random.
Yeah, nice pointless lucky.
I should point out that, so the way lucky works is it's based on your stash stat. It's sort of a lucky critical on a single attack. You get them here and there, and they're pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they always do double damage.
Yeah, each lucky does double damage, although what tends to happen is you get a lucky that, is just on one attack, because most of your Bros attacks involve hitting an enemy several times. This is actually pretty important because several Bros items allow you to, or Bros items later in the run will effectively be infinite. You have, in theory, a potential to do infinite damage on enemies, although it's limited based on player input, because some of them go so fast it's really hard to keep up, and one mistake is a dropped item. But we'll get a little bit more into that later.
Alright. Well, here we go. Just keep it going.
Alright, we're back up.
Alright, good. Let's just keep going, okay?
Yeah. We toggle over to 30 FPS, so hopefully this issue stops happening.
Yeah, Twitch doesn't like partners in time. That's the problem.
Admittedly, this game does have a few screens that will just destroy your bitrate.
Alright, so we're heading to Baby Bowser's castle. And it's actually, like, one of the hardest areas. At least for me, anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricky movement techs and encounter dodges, some of which are pretty much only done in Bowser's castle.
Yeah, it used to be a lot harder, but then someone found a way to do boost skip a lot easier. So, it's 10 times less hard now, if that sentence is worded correctly.
Thanks everyone for staying here. Hopefully we won't have any more issues with the stream.
Yeah, apologies on that one. It's not really something we can really do about, but it is just very unfortunate. Oh no, the game is still running at 60 FPS. The stream's at 30 FPS.
Alright, so the babies fell out of the Koopa Cruiser, so we have to go find them. We're gonna collect some items on the way.
And considering there are past selves, you kinda need to make sure they're okay.
We wouldn't go out of our way to edit video on a laptop. What I will say is
You should be good now, for real. Alright. Final countdown, hopefully. Alright.
Do-do-do-do.
3, 2, 1, go. Right, final countdown. Yeah, I know. Hopefully the final countdown. Alright.
So we found the babies. Although baby Luigi is pretty similar to adult Luigi in that he is the more cowardly of the two. So Stuffwell comes up with the genius idea of using himself as a cushion.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around through that. You guys are awesome.
So we can't just leave the babies, because that would be not only irresponsible, but kind of bad. So we decided to take on the role of foster parent to our baby selves. It's a little weird, this game is a little bit weird, but once we get through Bowser's Castle, it's pretty much all gameplay from here. One of the things I really enjoy about this game, and kind of this series as a whole, is just the way many of these cutscenes play out, almost without text, is just really charming and goofy and endearing. So Stuffwell is showing us just generally how we can split up between the babies and the adults. And this is going to be important because we're going to do this in ways that the game doesn't intend. In any case, for most of the game you can have the adults carry the babies on their back, and this is important in combat because the babies will not be, we don't have like 4 party members in battle, we still just have the 2, but the babies are there as well. And they sort of act as a bit of a buffer. If one of the adults is knocked out, then one of the babies will take their place. It limits the options you have for things like rose attacks, but it does mean that in the event something goes terribly wrong, you miss a dodge, and one of the adults dies, especially if this happens in an encounter, the babies kind of serve as a buffer to prevent you from game overing.
And that's about all they're good for. Once about the halfway point, they're kind of useless.
Their damage output is significantly reduced from the adults. It doesn't help that it's expensive to buy equipment for them.
And also later on, if they die, we can't use Happy Flowers or the other throw items that require all 4 of them to be alive.
Yeah, so for this tutorial, we're gonna have a Boo and a Goomba. I like how the fight is a Goomba. It's a Goomba on the overworld, but it's a Boo in the fight.
So we learn about the piggyback jump, and then Hammock's gonna spawn a Goomba, and Stuffle teaches us about Green Shell Advanced Command.
Yeah, so here it's B-A-X-A, B-A-X-A. Snoion is going to deliberately drop the inputs for the green shell because he doesn't want to kill this Goomba on the first turn.
Now we're gonna want a lucky hit on this Boo, because that will skip it from counterattacking. It's very rare, but you can always hope.
Yeah.
You do want to attack it with Mario because Mario does more damage at this point because he's a level ahead.
Oh, we got the lucky.
Dude,
the run.
28 minutes in.
Alright, we got a 1 with Luigi, but again, that's not a big problem, because we can get another 3 later on.
Yeah, if you fail early on, you'll be able to catch up a bit later. And that was the last we saw of Kamek, right?
Hopefully.
He's pretty much gone for the rest of the game, yeah.
Yeah, so this encounter dodge is pretty unique in that what you do is you chuck the babies while standing really, really close to the Boo, and the game is set to a state where it will not let you get the encounter for for about a second actually. You see the boo is blinking.
Yeah, so Bowser's Castle is pretty straightforward. There is a tutorial right here, and we have to skip it because it's really long. Hopefully I don't choke.
The worst part about this next tutorial prompt is the fact that you have to say no 3 times. So it's easy to just not be paying attention because this is one of the more rudimentary areas of the game and just accidentally say yes. So there's oh, you got it. So there's a block that's sort of flickering. As I mentioned earlier, this is currently being streamed in 30 FPS. This game runs at 60, so it flickers every other frame, so it'll either go from looking invisible on stream to looking solid, but it's not. It's kind of a byproduct of just the stream itself, so if something seems weird about that, that might be why.
Alright, we fell down there, but you can recover pretty easily.
And this section is just introducing you to the mechanics with having adults on the bottom screen and babies on the top screen.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas where you kind of use the baby's shortness and stature to do something on the top screen. The top screen is on the bottom left, by the way. The majority of this game is handled on the bottom screen. So, if we're referring to something as the top screen, it's usually the screen on the left. So right here we have one of the lightness, or one of the darkness rooms. The way these work is there's a switch next to the adults that can provide a brief period of light. Although Snoion has generally memorized the layout of at least part of each of these. And we're gonna actually be skipping one of these, so they end up being less of a nuisance than they are in a casual playthrough.
We skipped 2 of them now. Yeah. Or,
Oh yeah, that's. Wait, do we skip the one in
somewhat, we kind
in
of
the
skipped one of
glitchy?
them. Oh, we'll get to that.
I still need to review some of the tech in this game. It's kind of nice because I'm a little behind on some of these tricks. So we're done with Bowser's Castle for the most part now. What we picked up there was a shard of the Cobalt Star. What the Cobalt Star was, it was the engine that was powering the ship that brought the princess back. So the fact that it's in pieces does not for our adventure.
Alright, luckily all these problems happened at the beginning of the run, because right now is where the game actually starts to pick up the pace a little bit. And we'll actually start seeing a lot more gameplay.
And we'll also start getting into some of the glitches in this game. So, as I have mentioned earlier, if you're just joining us, several glitches have been found since the last Mario RPG Marathon last year. Several of them found by people like Migu, who's in the call with us, Really Tall, and Solidified Gaming.
Yeah, basically after I finished the task in April this year,
Which was about a
it encouraged
325.
21, yeah. It encouraged people to start glitch hunting, so pretty quickly the task got out of date, but it's good because now we can do more glitches in normal speedruns.
Yep. They took it kind of as a challenge when we said that this game doesn't really have any glitches and this game is pretty sturdy. Thankfully, at least thankfully in my opinion, we don't skip a whole lot of what I would consider quote-unquote essential content, like the kinds of things that would be a real bummer to skip.
Yeah, most skips skip some boring parts of the game, so you're not really missing anything.
Oh yeah.
If there are any glitch hunters out there, you definitely should take a look at Bowser's Inside Story. There are no useful glitches in that game, as of right now.
Yeah, I believe it was built on a separate engine from this game. Part of why Paper Jam is as broken as it is because it was built on the same engine as Dream Team, which was also broken. Which, if you missed the Paper Jam run, all of the runs for this marathon, I believe, will be going onto YouTube as well as highlighted on this channel. So definitely check out, the whole marathon if you missed anything you wanted to see.
If you have to watch only one run, I would recommend Paper Jam. If you haven't seen it before, it's insane.
Paper Jam is a testament to just how much you can break a video game.
Alright, so we're gonna enter Toadwood Forest, which is personally one of my favorite areas of the game.
I agree. It kind of establishes this game's kind of darker, more serious tone, but probably I would call it the darkest, most serious area in this game, because from there, the game gets a little bit more cheery. The first hour of the run is honestly very dark for a Mario game. Between the past getting utterly destroyed, the princess being kidnapped, your ship getting knocked down, barely escaping with your life. It's kind of actually a pretty down-toned game. Amplified a little bit more by the music of the game, which, for anyone unfamiliar with the Mario & Luigi series' composer, it is Yoko Shimomura, who composed Mario RPG as well, and she's also well known for the Kingdom Hearts series.
So yeah, we're gonna
as well
pick
as
up
a lot
some.
of cult classics here and there. Oh,
we're gonna
sorry.
pick up some items through here. That's for Swiggler mainly. Yeah, that's it.
Dream Team is...
Buffers and are we getting another buffer? Oh no, we're good.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, Dream Team is basically Paper Jam, but like 6 times full length.
Paper Jam, but you can't start this game until an hour in.
So this Toad here was with the princess when she traveled back in time, and unfortunately she happened to travel back in time right after everything got blown to bits. So that is effectively how she was kidnapped. Although she was kidnapped by this game's kind of main villain, who's known as Princess Shroob. And what's going on in this forest is the toads get caught up in the trees, and their vim, which is, if you're unfamiliar with that word, sort of like happiness, positive energy that flows through a person, is basically being siphoned right out of them and being used as used as fuel. It's like I said, this game gets pretty dark in the first hour. Although before she has something important to tell us about the Cobalt Star, but she kind of gets cut off by the aliens just coming in and mysteriously just shooting us down for some reason. Kind of happens a lot at the worst time in this game. Like right when we're figuring out some bit of information, somebody gets turned into a Shroob.
Alright, yeah,
We're
this
getting some
puzzle
more growth
is
flowers.
puzzle's pretty boring.
Alright.
Yeah, so what he's gonna do is light 6 hit 6 boxes, which will hit the corresponding or there's a fire in each of these boxes, and those will go towards each corresponding box on the bottom screen. There's a couple of enemy encounter dodges you have to be wary of here, otherwise you'll end up getting into an encounter with these pipe piranhas. Although if you get into an encounter, it's not too bad because they're one of the few enemies that you can outspeed.
It's slightly faster to like move the adults so that the camera doesn't take as long, but it doesn't really save like probably only saves like a second overall. So not very important.
Yeah, that enemy we just jumped over, that's really scary to do. I've been missing it a lot recently, but yeah, I'm glad it went well.
Yeah, so now that we've hit all 6 boxes on the top screen, we're going to switch to the adults and hit all 6 of them. And what this is going to do is create sort of a super flame in the center box, which once we hit that, that's gonna burn down part of the forest so that we can proceed. Be careful, kids, don't play with fire in a forest.
Alright, we're coming up on the first glitch slash skip. It's very unique how it works. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll
It's like a
explain
start.
it.
Yeah.
I'll explain it when we
Start,
get.
start, yeah.
Sorry, me, you.
Oh, okay. I'll start explaining it now, I guess. We have like still a minute till we get to it, but there's gonna be some spikes, and when you jump on spikes, you get hit right away. But there's actually one frame where you're standing on the spikes, and during that frame you can switch to the babies if they're in another room. And if you do that, it'll cancel the getting hit by spikes animation and cutscene, and then, yeah.
So this trick is framed perfect. If Snoion gets it, what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to effectively do this entire area in reverse, so that we don't have to constantly be doing puzzles to set up the way to proceed. It's going to take a few tries, and it's probably going to hurt Mario's feet a lot.
Hopefully it doesn't take much longer.
Yeah, this trick, being as difficult as it is, can take quite a while. Thankfully, it only takes a few seconds for each retry, but it does take quite a few tries on a bad day.
This is probably the hardest glitch in the game. And so you have one frame, the one frame Mario hits the ground, you have to press X or Y. And also Luigi has to be on that ground on the same frame too.
Yeah, if Luigi... Okay, you just got it. If Luigi falls off, then you'll still hit the spikes. So there we go. So that's the first glitch in the game, and like I said, it allows us to do this area in reverse order, so we don't have to do any puzzles.
And when you enter a loading zone with Mario, Luigi just joins him no matter where he was, so that's nice. And we can use the pipe block to get babies back. Pipe blocks are pretty useful in this speedrun. A lot of times you'll want to have the adults or babies separate for whatever reason. And so wherever they are, there is one, it's generally a good chance to use it. So you can skip like raising that block.
Yeah, it
You're going the opposite way.
saves a bunch of time just not having to stand on slow-moving platforms.
And also a little tiny thing, after hitting these blocks, Snoion's pressing X to switch the babies. So it just like saves like maybe half a second on movement.
Yeah, so apparently we're having a bad day for spike skip, but it's not too big of a deal. At least we got it.
So that second set of spikes takes us back to the start. So that's a bit of a it's a bit of a convenience, because otherwise spike skip would be useless. So we're coming up on the first real boss of the game. This is going to be the Hammer Bros, and the funny thing you'll notice about them is they're talking in 2007 internet speak, aka leet speak. In Japanese, they speak in katakana, which is the Japanese character set for loan words. So if a character is speaking entirely in katakana, it's a sign that there's something not right with them. Although it is kind of dated as sort of like an old 2005 meme to talk like this, like in leet speak, but I think it's a little nice touch, because usually what they do is they just have a robotic sounding character speak in all caps, but it's a sign that there's something wrong with them, as you can see with the glowing yellow orb on their heads. Ooh, you got hit. Thankfully, you can take one hit from these guys, and their attacks are pretty easy to dodge.
So we're going to use some bro flowers to kill them. They each have 90 HP. So in order to kill them with 4 fire flowers or 4 bro flowers, you need to do 45 fireballs each time, which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, the thing is, you can also get a lucky, which will double the damage of the entire fire flower rather than just like do 1 extra damage for doubling 1 fire flower.
Alright, this guy at the top set up to be killed. Hopefully he dies.
It'll be good to take care of that, because if you manage to kill one of them, then you only have to sit through one attack animation.
Oh god, I've never seen that happen before. That was pretty lucky.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
It wouldn't have really saved much time, but still funny that that happened.
I mean, that was pretty close to a 4 turn, which is pretty impressive. Only 10 fireballs away.
Yeah, so those roulette wheels are really hard to time. I just kind of like mash through it and pray. So, yeah, it's
Oh yeah,
not...
for some reason the babies start at level 3. So their first level up is to level 4. And then thing.
So now we have hammers. Although in this game, babies exclusively have hammers. I also think the hammers are smaller than the ones in Superstar Saga. Excuse me. This is just a bit of a tutorial on how hammers work. Somebody mentioned mash speed. One of the things with mashing in this game, as I mentioned earlier, was you can mash on L, R, A, B, X, and Y. So the theoretical fastest way to mash is kind of roll your fingers on all the face buttons and mash L and R. That's actually really hard to do with your hands without just utterly ruining your hands over the course of 4 hours. So usually runners will have sort of their own way of doing things. I know Anwan who just kind of rolls his finger around the face buttons. This is easier to do on the 3DS, which Snoion is running off of.
Yeah, I roll the face buttons and mash L.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do on a regular DS, which is what I run on. I swear these machines freak me out because it looks like they all have eyes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of... Here's the first point where we learn to use hammers in battle.
Which we're never going to do.
I don't use really many jumps either, for that matter.
Because yeah, as soon as we're done using the hammers, we're going to just defeat these enemies with a fire flower. Fun fact, you can soft lock on this fight in the US version with messing up your commands. This is one of the things that was fixed between versions, because the US version of this game actually there's actually 2 versions, 1.0 and 1.1. The Virtual Console version is 1.1.
Yeah.
It's unknown if there are any cartridges that are printed at 1.1. Still not taking a safe path that enemy.
Yeah, he was in my way. If he wasn't in my way, I would have just switched to jumps and jumped around him. But he was right in my path.
So we rescue the adults, and now we learn the adult hammer command.
It's a good point, Sam. It's a good point. Soft locks are never fun.
Battle, we're pretty much the same as the last one. We're forced to use hammer commands for the first 2 turns. Go and use the throw power to finish it off.
Alright, I'm gonna take these rolls a little slower.
Ice flowers do the exact same damage as grow flowers, but they have different effects. Oh, I know now. Oh yeah, there are some enemies that are weak to ice or fire. If the worst thing is lucky hit. If an enemy is weak to fire and uses a grow flower, it'll do double damage. And if the enemy is weak to ice and uses ice flower, it'll also do double damage. And ice flowers can also inflict stat down effects. They can do pow down, defense down, or speed down, which will probably be used in some
Kind of an interesting bit of trivia about this game. Somebody posted actually in our Discord a picture of what this game's prototype looked like, and it was apparently, because this was early in the DS's life cycle, it was worked on this sort of device that had effectively 2 Game Boy Advance screens. So this game was built around its dual screen feature rather than touchscreen features, which were really popular at the time on the DS to just any game have touchscreen integration. So there's very, very minimal use of the touchscreen in the run. It was just never really part of this game's development. So we're coming up on the next major glitch. I'd say major, but it's not really not a huge time save, but it is still a significant one nonetheless.
Right here, there's a ceiling that I'll play it afterwards. Just watch it.
Just moving the adults out of the way so they don't end up accidentally getting in an encounter.
So that's called a ledge clip or a tunnel clip, and whenever there's a ceiling where the babies can fit underneath, but they can't fit while they're stacked, if you go under it and then stack on the first frame, you go under the ceiling. And if there's a floor above it, you'll actually be teleported up to the floor above it. And that's going to be used again with the adults a lot later in the run.
It's important that he stops this moving platform before hitting the switch, otherwise this platform is going to continually slide to the right side of the screen and you waste time.
Interestingly, ledge clips were first found in Superstar Saga. They didn't have a use for a while, and then a couple ledge clips were found in this game. There was a use for ledge clips found in Superstar Saga.
So this is Shroob Wiggler, and he's one of the more annoying bosses in the run. Although this game actually has a surprisingly low amount of randomness to it, this is one of the fights that's actually fairly heavily dictated by RNG, which, if anyone's unaware, it's random number generator. Effectively a programming value that is supposed to be randomly generated to... basically it's luck.
Yeah, this fight kills a lot of my runs, so...
Yeah, you can just get extremely unlucky here. You'll notice you'll spit out poison clouds. I think there's a few... I don't know how many frames there are for it, but...
Yeah, it's like a 5-frame window, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, ordinarily you hit it once and it gets knocked back and you have to hit it again, but there's a couple of frames in which you can just hit it and it hits it twice, effectively. So, you can break the cloud instantly and it saves like a second. Most of Swiggler's attacks are pretty easy to dodge. Most of the randomness comes in the mushrooms that the two Shroob scientists on the side pull out.
Alright, we're looking for one gray mushroom, one red mushroom. And that'll be perfect RNG.
Yeah, so for those who don't know how this fight works, we want to poison Swiggler's drink so that when he drinks it, he'll lower his defense. And the way you do that is by killing or hitting a Dr. Shroob who's holding a gray mushroom. And then he'll drop it in the drink and poison it.
Ooh, that's not so good.
So now there's no gray mushroom, so just attack Swiggler. It's not too bad if this happens, but
It's better that this happens early on rather than later.
Yeah, if they pull out a red mushroom and you end up knocking a red mushroom into his drink, he heals 40 health, and that's just not good. Because your damage output in this fight is fairly low, considering how underleveled we are. So this fight can take 6 to 8 minutes. If he has nothing in his drink, he'll do this attack where he charges the 2 shrooms on the top screen, and you have to kind of watch the top screen for their attacks.
They want to avoid this attack. That's why you always want to see a gray mushroom in some way somewhere, because if there's nothing, then he'll just do that really long attack.
Alright, hopefully I won't kill them with this fire flower. That would be bad. Alright, good. I'm going for it. I'm going all the way. So... Another double red mushroom wouldn't be as bad as it sounds right now, because that way I can do massive amounts of damage to Swiggler.
As a bit of a note, there are some attacks in this game not always have the best indicator for, so it is fairly safe to just jump with both bros to dodge if you're unsure of who it's going to target, and a good chunk of the time that'll work out if your timing is good.
Alright, nice.
Dang, dude. That sucks.
Oh, that's unlucky. Yeah, so as soon as you kill one of the Dr. Shrooms, another one replaces it. So being 1 health off there is really unfortunate. Because what that means is, if he hadn't have killed it, this fire flower would, and then Luigi's turn would just be fire flowers all against Swiggler, and that does a ton of damage.
Hopefully they'll give us another purple mushroom. Uh-oh. I don't think this will kill. I'll be really surprised if it does.
This boss has 240 health, so 9 cannonballers roughly is enough, although you do plenty of damage output with the fire flowers as well.
Yeah, there's no way.
Usually around 6 or so fire flower or cannonballers.
Yeah, so ideally a good fight of this would end around the 58-minute mark, although part of the current time is because of all the stream issues, which thankfully we haven't run into, knock on wood, in a while.
So I think he has some around 20 or 30 HP left. I'm not really sure, but that's an estimate.
Yeah, I suppose I could keep track of bosses' HPs for you.
Yeah.
Alright, hopefully I can kill him with his fire flower. That would be nice.
This is about the last fight where, for a while, where you can actually readily take a hit. I swear my stream can never handle the enemy death animation with all the stars and sparkling lights. If nothing else, this game is actually really colorful and the sprite work is really good. I still think this game's graphics hold up really well, considering its time.
Nice 3.
Yeah, so that's the upside of not getting the 4. You get 2 3s on the baby.
So kind of the very last, I would argue, negative point of the run. Because like I said, the first hour of this game is pretty downbeat. Bowser comes in and just completely takes us for a spin. And takes our 2 Cobalt Star Shards. Which is no bueno, because we worked so hard to get those.
Alright, yeah.
I need to add that oh no emote, it's so good. Oh no!
Oh no!
So that's the first area of the game. Pretty straightforward. So is this next area. But this next area is arguably more interesting than the previous one. Not casually, but you'll see when we get there.
Oh, let's do another roll call. I'm Migu, and I'm not running.
I'm Ghost King, and I'm not running.
And I'm Snoion, and I am running. Guess that's how we were doing it.
I don't
So
know.
what? So he's going to de-equip everything he owns because he needs as many coins as he can get right now. It's not as tightly routed as Superstar Saga, but it is still important that we have a decent amount of money right now. Ideally, we have a total of 600 coins after we sell everything we own other than green shells.
Alright, yeah, so this is a frame perfect trick. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah, so Snoion is going to save with the babies here. Well, not just yet, but he's gonna go sell his stuff first. So this is what we refer to as money glitch. The way money glitch works in this game is you can sell a high-priced item, and then there's a frame in which you can trick the game into selling another item for the same price. In this case, what we're going to do is sell everything we have, buy the most expensive badge in the shop, which is the Shroom badge, which sells for, I think, 130 coins, and then get as many green shells as possible. Getting all those green shells is important because those are just the cheapest item that we can buy. Snoion's gonna make a save because if he messes this up, he's gonna have to soft reset, which happens a lot when you run this game. This is a pretty run-ending trick.
Alright, third try. Lucky try. Let's go.
It takes about 15 seconds every time you restart.
This is not good, alright. I'm gonna take off headphones so I can focus on the game audio.
Okay.
Huh, okay. I did practice this right before the run, so I got it first try twice.
No amount of practice, though, is ever going to make this trick free.
Oh no.
Okay, so what you saw there was he sold all the green shells for the cost of the shroom badge, which gives us about 7,000 coins. We're going to repeat this trick once more, although we have a nice little buffer now that we have enough coins to continually buy shroom badges to make sure that we do this trick. Okay, second try on the second one. So now we have all the money we're ever going to need. So we're going to pick up some badges. We're not going to pick up clothing because it's slow, and then the next few bosses are pretty easy to dodge. A couple one-up mushrooms for safety, and then bros items because that's kind of our main means of damage.
Yeah, this is a great glitch because it makes the route really possible. Because you need a lot of badges that are pretty expensive.
You might want to plug your game audio back in.
Yeah, my bad.
The baby's crying is leaking into my ears. Make it stop.
Yeah, the double baby.
This trick was actually the only glitch for a long time that we were aware of.
Yeah, this started back in 2010, I think. Or 11 or something like that.
Shoutouts again to Anwanu.
Yeah, I would have found it. It was actually found by, if I remember correctly, Iwonu and Mug, independently. So I was thinking of something else.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in Iwonu's segmented run. It's really the only glitch that's still in the run that was, that used to be used maybe way back then.
Yeah, I found a glitch which was a cutscene overlap in one of the later areas of the game, and I was just like, hey guys, I found a glitch that could save time! And then a couple months later, SG just came in, and this game got broken wide open. Although it's not extremely broken. This isn't Thousand Year Door yet. We do still have a few theoretical skips, which would, if we could find a way to perform them, save a ton of time. Because one of the things one of these cutscenes has actually shown is that a bunch of time holes have opened up, but the game normally doesn't let you proceed through them out of order. So we kind of just have to go by the game's rules. If we could get into later areas earlier, then that would mean that we could skip large sections of the game. We have found one such exploit. However, it's only doable on emulator on the US version because it crashes DS hardware.
Yeah, there was also another task-only trick, which does work on console, but it's pretty hard. So.
Nice thing about this cutscene, among several other cutscenes, is it's programmed so that as soon as you enter the cutscene trigger, the babies or the adults automatically follow. So you don't have to worry about grouping them back together when you enter the cutscene. Like this one here, they just automatically go with us. And so this NPC here is Kylie Koopa. She's sort of a journalist who goes around seeking the hottest scoops and kind of finds herself in a lot of trouble in this game.
I think it's worth noting that if you're playing on the US version, there's a glitch you can do to skip all of these cutscenes, and it's probably the most important US only trick.
But as we've mentioned, the biggest reason we're running this on European English as opposed to the US version is the enemy stats, particularly health, is just utterly bloated on the US version, especially for speedrunning purposes. To give you an actual numerical value on this, the final boss on US is 3 phases, and they combine for, if I'm remembering this correctly, either 8,500 or 9,000 total health. On the Japanese and PAL versions, across the 3 phases, this was reduced to 5,500. So that's like 40% of the boss just cut.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and Wanu's best time on that version was a 4:27, back before the usage of Japanese. Anyway, this big, not so lovable dinosaur is called Yube. He's been going around eating the Yoshis on Yoshi's Island. I don't know why, but it's kind of messed up. I do think it's a nice touch that they have the Yoshi's Island theme play here.
Yeah, so this area is pretty straightforward, for right now, at least.
Also of note, a couple of the boxes around here have this item called a Smash Egg. This game has 10 total Bros items, and in the route, 9 of them are very much usable. Smash Eggs are kind of the odd one out. Their damage output is horrendous, and the only thing that they benefit you is when you get one perfectly, you get an item, but we don't need an item from them.
Their animation's also just really slow. They like fall super slowly. And you can only, I think the max number of hits you can do is 6.
So we have counted. Luigi gets 4 Yoshi cookies here, and he gives them out to the babies a couple times throughout the run. We have counted, and he does actually give them exactly 4 cookies total. So this game does have little continuity nods like that. Are you gonna get the task fire strats here?
We'll see. I think I can. I mean, it's... yeah.
So you see these 3 blocks on the top screen. They kind of flicker in and out of existence. Again, we're running on 30 frames per second on the stream layout, but it's actually 60 frames per second. They're invisible and intangible. So what the game wants you to do is activate these 3 switches to make them solid, similar to actual Yoshi's Island, but or Super Mario World's Yoshi's Island. But that's kind of complicated. There's a couple of skips that you could do to get these switches. One of them is pixel perfect and very annoying. So the guys cooked up a way to just skip this entirely, which we'll demonstrate here. So this trick is called spring storage. You basically put the babies on a spring, but you set them to where they are inactive, and you spin into a loading zone while pressing X, and the babies will shoot to the top screen. Now they're on the top screen on a screen which they should not be able to be on the top screen. So we've just gone out of bounds. So he pushes down so that the babies can be seen on the bottom screen, and then while out of bounds, he pushes right on the wall, and once you see them disappear, if you push up, you can enter the loading zone at the tops of the screen and just completely skip any of those puzzles. It's a really nice little skip that saves a couple of minutes and a couple of very frustrating tricks that you would have otherwise had to have performed. Spring storage has a couple applications, but some of them actually are US specific, and unfortunately the springs only work if they're on the bottom screen. If you're on the top screen, you can't use spring storage.
More about how that works. Normally when the babies are on a top screen and the adults leave to the next room, in the top screen and they go back to the bottom screen near the spring they left it, or however they went to the top screen. But if you take the loading zone to the top screen and the bottom screen loading zone with the adults at the same time, then that's how you get the effect with the wrong top screen, which we call top screen storage. And it's probably the most broken glitch in this game. There are a lot of different uses for it and ways to get it. And it was the most important thing that was found recently. And then when you leave a top screen in the wrong area, a lot of different things can happen depending on how you do it. Sometimes some top screens have a loading zone that you can use to get back to the bottom screen, and those you just go to the place the loading zone would have been, but in the wrong room. But if they have a hole like these cloud levels, then it'll actually activate a script in the bottom screen. And there's a lot of different things it can do, like crash the game or soft lock in a lot of cases.
So right here is supposed to be a boss trigger, but there's a way around this boss trigger, which you'll see as another application of spring storage.
It's pretty much the same glitch.
Yeah, you do have to be careful in some of these, otherwise you can end up either soft locking or messing things up. Snoion has a consistent setup for making this work. So once he gets the babies here, he pushes down so they can get their position, and then walks right a certain amount, and then down right, and he's just bypassed the boss trigger for the Kamek fight. It's a really annoying boss fight. Some of his attacks are pretty hard to dodge, and we don't have any equipment, so getting hit here is pretty much instant death.
So that was a pretty solid Luigi design, I think. There's a lot of encounters that you're close to getting.
So now that we've cornered Baby Bowser, he decides, you know what, I'm not going to let you have these. I'm going to eat them. And we can't get the Cobalt Star Shards out of him before the Shrooms take notice of us. So they notice Yub climbing up this tower and say, hey, we'll give you a boost, and now they make him giant. So he eats Baby Bowser, meaning we have to kind of follow. I'm still not sure if the adults get eaten because they're shocked here, or if they make the conscious decision we have to follow him.
Alright. So, Yub's belly is also another pretty hard area in the game. Probably one of the hardest.
Yeah, there's a lot of tight corridors here, and enemies love throwing projectiles at you with deceptively large hitboxes. If I had to complain about one thing with this game, it's the fact that enemies that can throw throw projectiles at you to trigger encounters, the hitboxes on them are garbage. I just love this cutscene so much because it's just Luigi trying his hardest to cheer up these terrified babies.
Oh yeah.
Feel so bad for Luigi.
Never gets any respect. And of course he gives his baby self the cookie first. Never looking out for his brother.
So if you counted the cookies, you'll know that there's one missing. And, yeah. he'll eventually use it, but not for a little while.
It's a little background event of Baby Mario hitting one of the switches. That's to kind of show you that those switches change color. It's a nice touch of introducing that mechanic to the player, showing, hey, I need to hit these colored switches without, you know, overtly giving you a stupid switch tutorial. Kind of wish games did more of that. Yes, this is Yoob's inside story.
The mechanic in this part of the dungeon is we have to get 6 Yoshis to push the rock through Yoob's intestines, I guess. And, oh, there's one Yoshi in each room except for the middle one, or except for the
The one with the
one on
sand
the top
block in it.
bed.
Yeah, so each room has kind of its own little puzzle. This one, you need to hit this flying saucer with water, and then fight the shrew. Thankfully, the second hit is almost 100% consistent. The first one, the timing can be a little bit awkward. Although he doesn't need to, he brings the babies out from the top screen to the adults because we're going to do a fight with a shrew, and since we're level 5 right now, or 6, the EXP will help a bunch, because after 2 fights, the adults will level up, and that will make the next boss fight of this dungeon significantly easier to be a higher level. I should also point out that fire and ice flowers are similar to the fire flowers in Mario RPG in that there is a cap to it. You can't just like mash as hard as possible. You have to mash, I believe it's every seven frames, like,
Yeah, every 7.
will be a fireball, or if you're mashing X and Y, because the babies can also throw fire and ice flowers. I believe that takes an extra frame. So it's like every 7 or 8 frames, and then every 8 or 9 frames for the babies.
Yeah, we do have to use the fire flowers with the babies coming up. And it's really weird because the timing is different between the two. So it just kind of throws you off a little bit.
I don't think it was mentioned. The reason why he used ice flowers in that battle was because the Dr. Shrews are weak to ice, so it'll do twice as much damage, which makes it possible to defeat them with only 1 flower in 1 turn.
Yeah, they have 75 HP, so with good mashing and hopefully a counterattack, you can kill them in a single turn. So this Yoshi was just really hungry, so we fed him. But bear in mind I am like 7 or 8 seconds behind, so if I'm speaking about something that's already passed, that's why. So this skip here allows us to clip past this door. Oh, you got hit by the bone.
You got boned.
Yeah, get boned. He was in a really bad spot. Yeah. Nothing you can do about that.
Oh no, that could have been terrible if Mario had got hit there. Alright, so the positioning here is a bit tricky, but you can clip around the barrier.
So that's another ledge clip. It works similarly to the one back in Bim Factory. But it's a little weird because you can't even really tell there's a ledge there. And then after you do that, the adults are stuck there, so you have to use the pipe box to bring them back.
Yeah, it is convenient because it allows us to dodge getting hit by the dry bones again. Like I said, the dry bones projectile bone has a terrible hitbox.
Yeah, that looks a lot easier than it is.
Yeah, I made that look pretty easy. I usually have a lot more trouble with that than I just did, so...
Yeah, that's one of the only glitches I've never done on RTA myself.
Yeah, I don't. I actually don't do that glitch and runs yet. I've just kind of said I'll learn it some other time.
30 seconds, so it's not anything big at all.
Yeah. Pretty much what Partner in Time in chat, nice name by the way, said. There are, I counted it up, there are 10 useful glitches in the entire speed run. Some of which save several minutes, other of which just save a few seconds. And probably the biggest one being Money Glitch, which is the oldest one. The number would go up by, I think, like 4 or 5, maybe even 6, if we were running on the US version. But yeah, that would involve running the US version.
There's 2 major US exclusive glitches that are useful, but there's more than, there's like, yeah, 5 or 6 applications of them to save time.
Alright, we didn't get bones, so good job, me.
That's a pretty hard counter to avoid, so good job.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
I hear. Go ahead.
There's
I was gonna
There's
say
2
10 instances. 10 instances of glitches being used. Okay. Sorry guys, go on.
I was just gonna say that a lot of people find Sunnyside to be like one of their favorite bosses in this game. But he is definitely like the most hated in this run. For sure.
Yeah, along with Swiggler, Sunnyside is one of the most RNG dependent fights in the game. Perhaps even more so than Swiggler. After Sunnyside though, we're going to get 2 Bros items which effectively turn this game into becoming 100% skill dependent.
Yep, so, this bottom area of Yube is pretty straightforward. Nothing too much to comment on here.
Good encounter dodge. That guy has got me a couple of times. So this blue headed, I don't know, Toad here is Toadbert. He was also with, you actually see him. Ooh, what's going on? Sorry, there's a really loud ruffling noise. Apologies. So you've seen Toadbird actually in an earlier cutscene with the princess, but he doesn't remember anything. All he remembers is he has this drawing here of the princess, the Cobalt Star, and Princess Shrew, but it's very stained and dirty. And he doesn't really know how to make heads or tails of it.
Yep, here come the what faces, so... It's just like a race car from like last marathon.
I think we're biased here, Tasca, but yes, we all like this game as a speedrun.
I didn't save. RIP. I have 4 1-ups, so I'm pretty safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. This fight can take a long time, but I think his attacks are some of the easiest in the game.
Yeah. This fight mostly depends on how good you are with the flowers and how good of luck you get on his egg roulette. Yoshi's on the top screen, they will roll a boulder to topple him over, and you'll have a couple of turns in which you can hit him with his weakness. It's basically random whether he throws the eggs at you and lets you break them or not. He'll also chuck 2 to 4 eggs at you. I'm back on my end.
From the mainstream, okay, the mainstream's back, alright.
Ideally, you want 2 eggs on the screen so that you can actually break them. Otherwise, if you have too many on screen, it will just do a ton of damage. You'll spread your damage too thin. There's no turbo controllers. He's running on an actual 3DS. The reason why text mashing is so fast is because you can push any of the face buttons as well as L and R to advance text.
So when he leaves 3 eggs, you just want to jump.
And you always want to stick to the one on the top because that's the least likely one for him to throw.
And if he does decide to throw it, it's not a big deal, because if you use an ice flower, it just wastes time, because you can't actually damage Sunnyside. So it's just better to jump there.
When Sunnyside is alone, even if he throws all the eggs, it's not a huge deal because you can do a lot of damage with him with Ice Flower.
Yeah, he has a total of 400 HP, so hitting him for 80 plus with 2 flowers is not the worst thing in the world.
Ah, dang, dude. Alright. So, hopefully he'll let me actually, like, get some Yoshis out. That would be nice.
This is just bad luck so far.
That's lucky.
Oh, dang. So if he gives you a bunch of hammers, it actually isn't that big of a deal. If he does like 3 in a row, like he just did. So, we're all good. Alright, this might be it.
Wow, that was really good luck on the Yoshi eggs. So to point out, he is in fact an egg, and like most eggs, his weakness is fire. So we're going to knock him on his back once we get 5 Yoshis out. And then once he's on his back, we'll have a turn to just throw fire flowers. And throwing fire flowers will do a lot of damage, especially if there are no eggs on the screen, because you can knock him over with eggs on the screen, and it's really sad when you end up doing that where there's still 4 eggs on the screen.
Each of these firefighters do 70 to 80 HP damage, so this should be it for Sunnyside.
Alright, so as you can see, bad RNG can turn into good RNG.
Nice. I think that was pretty average fight, right?
That was above average, a little bit.
Okay.
The reason for...
Yeah,
God.
it's because like he's weak to fire flowers when he's down, so it does more damage. And also, it only does more damage if you mash more. The interesting thing about fire flowers is you can have pretty high POW and still do the same amount of damage because each fireball is still gonna do 1 damage or 2 damage if it's a lucky hit or a critical hit. So if you have like if you have the normal amount of POW you would have at this time in a normal playthrough, cannonballers would probably do about the same amount of damage, if not more.
Alright, so that was the last of like the easy boss fights. There are a few easy more, but this is where the boss fights become a lot harder because you start becoming underleveled for them. You're underleveled for Sunnyside, but it works out where you're right on the edge. But this next boss fight, you are definitely underleveled for.
Oh, the Yoshi champ in chat. I love it. So Baby Bowser is trying to take all the credit for saving the Yoshis, even though he didn't do anything. And the Yoshis reward him with cookies, which he promptly eats and coughs back up the 2 Cobalt Star Shards. Which, this cutscene kind of gives you a little bit of, more sense that the Cobalt Star actually seems to have some form of sentience. As they proceed to knock him sky high. So after all of that, we've neither gained nor lost anything. We just kind of got back what we had lost.
Alright, coming up's the real Yoshi champ. So yeah, after every area, you have to come back and talk to Egad, and he'll tell you where to go. And you'll also learn some more abilities. And just about every time we come back to the castle, we're going to be buying some new items.
This time there are 3 very important items to buy. The first of which is red peppers, which is probably the most important. What red peppers do is they increase your offense, and the nice benefit in this game is they don't have a drawback like they do in Superstar Saga. In Superstar Saga, they made your character heavy, and that meant that their jump was harder to do, and they fell faster because physics. But in this game, red peppers just are a straight up attack bonus. Although they will run out during the fight in what kind of almost feels random. It doesn't really feel like there's any rhyme or reason for why they run out, but you want to have at least like 15 here.
I get 20 because that usually lasts me the entire game. Yeah, so the pepper effects, they last randomly. They just kind of go out when they feel like it.
The other item you can get is, the other items that's important is the pocket chomps, and there's also another item called trampoliners. The way those two bros items work is they effectively have infinite potential damage output. So, if you get good at those abilities, your damage output can allow you to one-turn any boss in theory. In actuality, it is very, very difficult to do perfect on any of them without dropping an input. So, mostly you just want to use them for their high potential damage output and just try and do as well as you can.
Right, you were learning a new ability, the Bros Ball, and it's really nice for speedrunning because it goes fast.
Yeah, the only problem is that you can't use it whenever the babies are on your back, and that's a surprisingly large, or not a surprising, but a large portion of the game, you have the babies on your back, so you kind of have to know when to chuck them and just start rolling, or when you kind of need to keep your inner Fred Durst on the inside.
And most of the rooms in this game are pretty small anyway, so it's never really useful just to throw the babies off and then go through the animation of the Bros Ball.
Right here we don't need the babies for a little while, so long Bros Ball section.
Yeah, there's a section here you effectively need to have the Bros Ball. In a task setting, you can get all the way to the top and hit the switch with absolutely perfect stair jumps, but it's not practical in a real-time run to go for, and it doesn't really benefit you, so we just use the Bros Ball. I think it would also effectively soft lock you anyways, as you need the Bros Ball.
You could go ahead and actually get all the way inside the cathedral, but then you get stuck. Yeah.
Oh, and yes, there's that important reminder that this game does have ball hop.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it a little later on, so...
I don't understand why the community makes such a big deal out of ball hop.
I don't know, it's not a big deal at all, but...
So this is Gritzy Desert. You might be familiar with this song from its appearance in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and I believe Smash 4 as well.
Mamma mia!
So this is one of the longest cutscenes in the game. It's pretty long, pretty boring.
It's amusing, but not a whole lot you're actually doing as a player.
And it's really bad because you can't just take a break because there is text. So you have to sit here and mash through it. It's pretty, pretty awful.
There will be, I think, the longest uninterrupted cutscene coming up in a boss not too long from now. To explain to what ball hop is when you roll into something, and then the height that rolling into something allows you to hop over something. It doesn't hardly save any time, but it looks really funny, so it's a bit of a running gag.
As far as I know, there's only one place to do it. I haven't tested everywhere, but...
I have seen another place, but that's not something that would come up in the run at all.
Yeah.
Friendly reminder that Dream Team did nothing wrong.
Neither did Paper Jam.
The Bowser's Pet Story did.
Mamma mia!
Alright, back to good music again.
This is where the one emulator only glitch would be used in a run.
Yeah, there's an
There on
emulator.
yeah,
Sorry.
on the left side of on the left side of the map on the top screen, there's a blue pipe, and that pipe leads to Gritsy Caves. And if you were able to get to the pipe right now, you could skip the entire desert. And there is a way to do it, but that method crashes if you try it on console. And that's one of the biggest theoretical skips to be found.
Yeah, if it was doable on console, it would probably make the U version, as we call it, the US version, the fastest theoretical version of the game. Because by current, based on Anwinu's time, because Snoion's only ever run on this version, but Anwinu's best time on the U version was 4:27. And his best time on the same route of the Japanese version was about a 4:14. So it's about a 13-minute difference going off of those. So the glitches would have to make up about 13 minutes, which that would easily do because the boss fight in this upcoming area takes like at least 6 minutes alone if you're doing him. The other thing is Bowser's Inside Story just has less interesting combat and tech. I think right now it's pretty much glitchless as well. So the pacing of the run is just not as good as this game's. Coupled with the fact that it doesn't have any really useful exploits.
You pretty much throughout the second half of the just jump from it, and maybe like snack basket in a couple places.
Yeah.
Yeah, the combat's not that interesting. The first half I think was pretty interesting, but yeah.
Ruined. Didn't hit the block.
So here we find out that Princess Shroob is actually really good at entertaining a crowd. Because her people seem to love her. Most of the action here happens on the top screen, but it is amusing seeing how everything on the bottom screen is just viewed from, basically I would say viewed from the perspective of the adults, whereas the top screen is basically everything that's actually going on.
Oh yeah, I never even noticed that.
It's kind of fun trying to piece together what the Shroobs are saying in their conversations. Just kind of like imagining them speaking in this like alien language, just trying to visualize what exactly they're trying to say. You actually can learn a few words that they say, what they mean in English, because there are a few instances where one of them will speak in the Shroob language, but underneath it'll have captions in English. The word you see them most often use ends up actually just being destroy, or kesu in Japanese. So here's PD Piranha's obligatory mid-2000s video game appearance, because after Super Mario Sunshine, he was contractually obligated to appear in every single Mario game. To make matters worse, our new little liaison here has just been taken by the Shroobs. So what do we do in this time? We throw the babies away and just roll off on our merry way. We actually do it because we would end up doing so on this screen anyways. So we're gonna roll down to the bottom of the dome here. There's a neat little skip in this room where you release ball form and then fall back down rather than scrolling all the way to the right. It saves a couple of seconds of movement.
I'll go
So
for
now
this
we need-
skip in the dark room one time. And then I promise I'll never do it again.
This dark room is the hardest one in the game,
Alright, we didn't get it,
and the
so...
longest.
There's a lot of very thin passages here, so... Yeah, you can see the railings do not give you much room for moving around. It also doesn't help that the 3DS D-pad is really small and kind of awkward to work with.
I should be safe not to save, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, so this is the last boss that uses our current strategy. After this boss, we are going to be picking up a couple of pieces of equipment which are going to drastically change the route of the next hour or so of the run.
Alright, so for this boss, I'm gonna take off headphones. You can explain what's going on if you want to.
Alright, although, the game audio picks up on your mic, so you
Yeah,
might
I'm
wanna
gonna
move
mute Mike.
Okay.
At least for stream. Sorry, you're gonna have to hear it. Yeah, hopefully we can one cycle this boss. That's what I'm hoping for. Wish me luck.
So he has 900 HP, which is a huge step up from Sunnyside with 480. And he's gonna use Pocket Tom's, which he bought in the shop in Beast Castle.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's picking up on your mic. There we go. So what's going on with Pocket Chomps here is you can effectively do this attack infinitely. I'm sorry, that's still showing Ice Flowers on my screen. You want to use Ice Flowers to lower defense.
And you can see that when you've lowered defense because there's a green circle around him. And then red peppers also increase damage, and them two combined basically does about double damage.
Yeah, you do want to be careful because the babies will do an additional hit of damage, but if you end up hitting the baby that's on top of the chomp will speed up and get angry.
The good thing about Pocket Chomps is that they're relatively slow compared to the other multi-hit attacks. And so it's possible to keep up a pretty long combo.
Yeah, if you mess this up, you at least get like one. If you miss a jump for the adults, it gives you usually at least one. It lets you make one mistake, and you can still catch back up. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned there is a chance of oh, he dropped it. There is a chance you can get a female chomp. It's wearing a little bow, and it's adorable. So you can one-turn this boss. So since Luigi died, he got unlucky, so he dropped the fire flowers. This pocket chomp is going to be doing reduced damage, unfortunately. Or did you say copy flowers, pocket chomp? I meant. Oh man, this is like nerve-wracking on my end.
Getting so close.
Yeah, like I said, thankfully the thing about pocket chomps that makes them really safe to do is if you mess up an input, you can still try again. And that was True Boy Brat.
Nice job.
Yeah, I was a little nervous for that, but I'll just blame it on nerves, okay?
It's all good. One extra turn on True Boy Brat is not really a problem.
The timer is off by like 5 minutes, so but it doesn't really matter because we're gonna do a really good second half. Trust me.
Gonna break
Mamma
World
mia.
Recce.
So possible.
Even though this has basically been segmented by all the stops.
Yeah.
I should re-edit everything and put it together. Maybe. Alright,
Welcome back. Apologies for the technical difficulties with this run. It's just sometimes the internet just doesn't cooperate.
especially when I'm in a marathon. It's nice any other time.
So what's happened in the background is, well, there's a screen of movement, you didn't miss it, but we went to the shop and picked up two badges, or picked up a badge called the Dire Pow badge. What that badge does is when you're under a quarter HP, your damage output gets multiplied by something like 2.5. And this is important because it's actually really easy to manipulate yourself being at under a quarter health to get that damage boost. The other thing we picked up is called the Muscle Slacks. They don't give you hardly any defense, which we don't need because we're going to be doing everything at 1 HP for the next, like, hour. But they give you plus 20 strength, which makes bosses get dealt even more damage.
That was pretty good RNG in that minigame.
A few days ago, I did get perfect RNG, so it is possible.
So he's going to break the roll before entering this next loading zone. If you enter this loading zone in a roll, what ends up happening is the 8 seconds behind. But if you enter that screen with the pink switch on it while rolling, It takes a brief moment for the top screen to transition to the map rather than being about the babies. And you can end up rolling off and having to redo that room from scratch. And just wasting a bunch of time to a little fault of your own, because the window to actually turn downwards is mere like frames.
Alright, this is the only time you hear this jingle anywhere in the game so far.
Oh no. I love the jingle. It's just so out of place.
Apparently my keyboard's malfunctioning or something, so Alright, it's not a big deal that we got into this encounter. If we get lucky, can we get lucky? Yes, we can. Cool.
So he's deliberately taking a hit here. What this is going to do is, once we've run away from this fight, the adults are going to be set up at 1 HP. And this activates Dire Pow. For the record, the baby's health doesn't matter for Dire Pow. We would have gotten into an encounter at some point here anyway, but it's hard to dodge every enemy in this area, so make it work in our favor by whichever enemy we end up getting caught by, we end up taking the hit from.
That's unfortunate.
Fell off?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a perfect cycle you can get around this room. The platforms are going to start moving faster and faster, and it becomes harder to do this. So Snoion just playing it safe there.
Nice.
The nice thing about several of these rooms is the enemies are positioned in such a way that they're really easy to avoid. In the first room, you can actually avoid all encounters by sticking to the bottom of the screen. Alright, so coming up we have our first boss demonstrating the Dire Pow strats, similar to Danger strats in Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door.
Alright, let's see if I can fix some things.
Yes, this cutscene is the longest uninterrupted cutscene in the game. It's usually a decent time to take a bathroom break if you hurry.
Luigi! Mamma mia! Oh, no!
Alright, Petey is actually kinda hard.
Yeah, because we're at 1 HP, anytime we take any damage, you have to soft reset, pretty much. Otherwise this fight takes too long. His attacks also have weird timings for dodging them.
Just gonna use an ice flower to lower defense, hopefully, but it's kind of rare on PG.
Good thing we got it though.
Nice. So this is a bit of a runner preference. Some runners will use trampoliners for this fight. Others will use pocket chomps, but trampoliners are generally more favored if you're going for a good time.
Yeah, they're a little better since you can't use the baby's command.
Yeah.
Since he's on the ground.
Yeah, a really good trampoliners, you can one-turn this guy.
He
The
has
problem
like
is, yeah, he's 1,000 HP.
700 health left.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
1,000 HP
Might do
total.
it.
Alright,
And
that
you can
was
see
not
this-
very good, but 2
The
fire
damage.
flowers should kill him.
So, yeah, he's doing a pretty good amount of damage because of the dire power badge. This is the European version of the game.
Yeah, so he'll stick himself in the ground and do this really long and annoying attack where he shoots a piranha at you that sticks to the top screen and you have to volley it back and forth.
And he's also weak to fire, so when you're on the ground, it's a good time to use it. And wow, he's doing a lot of attacks.
You
Alright, looks like we're back.
Alright, cool.
So, he killed PD off screen because PD didn't deserve an on-screen death. As I was saying, Fire Flowers is his weakness, so while he was in the ground, he was able to just finish him off with Fire Flowers.
Yeah, spliced. Fake. Dang.
Oh yeah. Mamma mia.
So we have the third Cobalt Star, but we have to find Peach.
Alright, yeah, this is a pretty long cutscene. Another nice little break.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, with all the tech smashing that you kind of have to finagle with to do, having little breaks here and there where you don't have to mash is really helpful.
Alright, so we're gonna get copy flowers. Objectively, the best in the game.
Alright, so we're learning the baby spin and baby kicks moves. The last field moves we're gonna learn the run.
Alright, we're
Yeah, it
going all
didn't come
in.
up on the. Oh god. It didn't come up on the stream layout, but the techniques we've learned are one that lets us flatten the babies, which we're learning now, and just previously the spin in the baby spin, which is if you spin bros into the babies, they will get additional height and spin as well. Blimey, the wind.
You're supposed to go and hit that switch to let the adults in there to and then spin babies up. But you can just skip the switch and just spin them up onto the ledge.
Yeah, this is one of the skips we've known about for a while. It's a small skip, and it's not really even a glitch, it's just the developers not having the foresight to realize that players can just do that.
There's quite a few places like that actually. And because of it, Baby Spin and I guess Cakes as well are probably the most broken ability. But we won't be seeing any of that until the final dungeon.
Yes, we picked up Copper Flowers, the objectively best item in the game. Its damage output is also like Pocket Chomps and Trampoliners, theoretically infinite, but it is easier to do a lot of damage with it.
Alright, so Bowser kidnaps Peach, and he accidentally goes into Thwomp Volcano. Yeah, it's Ricky.
Who's Bowser?
I prefer Bowser's sprite in this game over Bowser's Inside Story.
So now we can go and follow Bowser to Thwomp Volcano, the next area.
Alright, now here's the real sour please of this game.
Oh yeah, this song will never get out of your head.
Here's a part where you can just leave the babies and roll along.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Yeah, so right now you do not want the adults running out of HP. Because that would result in an actual game over. Because they're unaccompanied. Thankfully, if everyone attacks, you won't have to deal with one of the adults carrying the other. So it's not a big deal.
There's a US only skip in this area as well. There's a pipe in the bottom left of the map you can see, and that leads to the very end of Thwomp Volcano. And you can do a weird glitch in this room to get top screen storage, and then bring the adults out of bounds in the first area and get to the pipe. And it's pretty complicated, but it's US only as well, so I'm not going to go into detail about it.
Yeah. This is another pretty straightforward area.
This screen is genuinely terrible because that rolling thwomp there loves to just come up to you and start an encounter. If it's right on top of you when you switch over to the babies or the adults, thankfully you get a bunch of frames where it won't trigger an encounter.
Alright. We're getting closer to the end. This section is actually really boring, despite the music, so,
Tech issues are really why this run is so great.
So you cannot make the one cycle here. It's impossible.
Thankfully, as the babies, you only need one of them to hit the switch, Baby Mario. So even if you miss the jump as Baby Luigi, it's not a big deal. You can't hit the block unless the babies are full size. And we're just gonna leave them up there, because you know we are wonderful foster parents. Trust no one, not even yourself. See, they're perfectly fine. They come back to us.
Yeah, so that's the last time they say peekaboo. So we're just gonna leave the babies up here.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just an erupting volcano shooting molten hot rocks at everyone.
They'll survive.
It's actually really easy to dodge the encounters on this couple of screens. That spin jump into the towards the building is a minor optimization there.
Yeah, so, basically, younger EGAD's gonna teach his older self something. That's the whole point of this. It's actually useful for, like, later in the game as well.
This big fat thwomp block you actually have to hit 9 times. It's the only thing in the game that requires you to use maximum baby water. I still think it's kind of messed up that you just give baby Mario a bunch of concussions. I half want to make a joke there, but concussions are actually kind of serious business. But that's how you put out the block, and the concept gives EGAD inspiration for a future invention idea, which will come up later in the run.
This doesn't even make sense metaphorically. Well, this game isn't supposed to make sense. Don't think about it.
You're throwing around the baby versions of yourself. I don't think anything in quantum physics could account for that possibility. Not that I have a PhD in quantum physics or anything. So he gets the inspiration for a massive pump of water, which he's going to use to put out the volcano. So if you thought nothing else in this cutscene made sense, get a load of this. It's a great cutscene. So Snoion's also gonna get an encounter here on his way back up to the volcano to manipulate his health so that dire power will work again on the next boss.
Yeah, so Luigi can get stuck on corners if you stair hop up things.
Let's go. Up.
So we get into this encounter because there are exactly 3 enemies. So you don't have to worry about anything like that.
Yeah, the enemies will, it's very, very unlikely that you will die on an encounter like that.
Now we come up to like one of the easiest bosses. Even though I mess it up all the time. Hopefully that doesn't happen right now. If it does, I have 1-up mushrooms, which will save the day.
Yeah, this is the easiest of the three fights that we use dire pow strats for. So if you end up losing one of the adults, it's not the end of the world.
So this is the only boss so far that we don't go for diff down on. Basically because you can't get defense down on this boss, I don't think.
Even if you could though, it's split up into 2 phases, and I don't think it would carry over.
And it doesn't even have that much health.
Yeah, it has a total of 600. I think her defense is supposed to be pretty high, but dire pow plus badges, or plus muscle slacks. So on the second phase, you can tell which one is the real one based on the teeth. The one with perfect teeth is the correct one. There's another one that has good teeth as well, but it has a crack on the back of its skull, so that one's fake.
I'm just gonna use another copy flower. Hopefully just one.
Yeah, this is one of the easiest fights in the game to do perfectly.
Okay. She's really close to dying. I'm gonna do a jump. Yep, okay, good. She was 1 away. That always happens to me.
Nice.
Remember when I said I was going to keep track of boss's health? I haven't done that. My
Good
bad.
luck on every single hit. Or actually, no,
Well, it
no.
says the total at the
Yeah,
end.
dumb. Ignore me.
I think she has around like 350-ish. But I did 355 there, so she has like 360, I guess.
I think the first phase has 270 and the second one has 330.
It's
Something like
400, but you got like some counter attacks.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Poppy flowers get to 19 frames per hit,
Oh yeah.
3 times per second. And I think the frame window is 4.
Yes, it's a little nicer than super jumps.
At least we don't have the terrible frame window. It's a lot faster than super jumps, and the button you need to press changes.
Yeah, I'll try to go for a red shell kill later on. So yeah, we'll try red shells.
Red shells have a few purposes. They're upgraded green shells for anyone unaware. Green shells cap at 16 hits. Red shells, I believe, cap at 100. But realistically, you're going to drop red shells before they hit the cap. So it kind of becomes a matter of how just good you are at them. So we say goodbye to the Thwomp Volcano theme, although not really because it's going to be stuck in your head all day.
Yeah, so in this cutscene, Bowser meets Baby Bowser.
And they realize how much they hate each other. But that won't be for too long.
Yeah, so I like this area too. A lot of people don't.
I like the area, the boss not so much. They hate each other, but they soon come to find how much they have in common. Oh nice, got the skip. You can just barely skip over the tornado there, and that'll save a second or so.
2 pixels to get that. That was pretty nice.
Ah, dang.
Somebody should test if you can do ball hop on the screen. I love ball hop. It's such a dumb trick.
I can't wait for that to be useful.
It is useful. It saves like a jump's worth of time.
Alright, I just kind of like had a brain, like something went wrong with my brain right there. But yeah, you can soft lock here. And it's happened to me in a run before. Pretty long ago, but you only mash with A and B there because you can soft lock.
Yeah, so he's not going to bother with any of the gems. He only wants to get one try at the slots, and it doesn't matter how good he does. Preferably, you get nothing out of this. So you only get 1 coin and have to sit through the animation of 1 coin.
We'll
And then-
show ball hop like in maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe a little longer than that.
Yeah.
It's in Starshine.
You better go out of your way to show us ball hop. We've been hyping it up so much.
Definitely going to do it. So you can do a trick similar to Spike Skip in this room, but it like doesn't save any time, and it's 1 frame again, so it's of course not worth it at all.
Would it be faster in like a task if you could get it 100% guaranteed?
No, it's not even faster in TAS.
Dang.
I have a timing video on it if you want. I'll show you later. But since you go solo Mario across the lava, if you hit the pipe block, you actually, no soft block, but you can't use it because you don't have Luigi with you. So you actually have to go through the loading zone to get Luigi back, and then go back and hit the pipe block to get the baby back, and all of that just ends up wasting too much time.
Makes sense.
Oh dang, I thought he was gonna run into
Also
me.
walking the pipes would be better.
Right, so this is the last time we're gonna get into peril.
Unfortunately, this enemy's attacks take quite a lot of time sometimes.
Alright, so Bowser is probably one of the hardest boss fights aside from the final boss. You would save here normally even during like RTA attempts. And it's not uncommon to die to Bowser and have to reset.
Yeah, because like we said, we're when you're fighting against Bowser, you're doing the fight with danger strats, meaning if you take 1 hit, then you lose a ton of damage. Because reviving the adults would cause them to be at half health, and thus they'd lose a ton of damage output. So this minigame, the optimal way to do it is get like 28, and then like just drop, and then collect 2 on the way down. Because you need 30 minimum, but it's pretty easy to get 30.
I was scared there for a second that you wouldn't get all of them.
Yeah, I was just going for it anyway.
Yeah, so really what makes this next boss fight, because we're about to enter the boss fight, you only have to hit a switch to go back down. What makes this boss fight hard is not the fact that, it's not the fact that he does a lot of damage, it's the fact that taking any damage will effectively result in a reset if you're not super far along into the fight. And he has some attacks, well, they have some attacks that, well, let's just say they're really hard to dodge / counter. The fastest non-task run of Partners in Time is by Snoion, and it is... Sorry, you pronounce it Snoion. I've been saying it wrong all along.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Fastest time is 3:59:03.
Oh dang.
Nice thing about this fight is it has unique music that you only hear one other time in the game. It's effectively Bowser's boss theme.
So this fight is similar to Popple and Rookie, how they use bros attacks. This uses this game's gimmick.
I mean, it's Rookie and Baby Rookie.
That's
I
unfortunate.
don't know why you're calling this guy Bowser. I mean, Rookie.
Yeah, so oh no. So the color
Uh,
of the color of the thwomps indicates which one it targets. They come at you pretty fast, and that's just an unfortunate attack you get in general. It takes a long time, and it's not easy to dodge. There's another attack that's even harder, but that's because this game's inputs are
Alright.
problematic.
I'm gonna focus a little bit more this time.
Let's go.
Hopefully it just, like, won't die.
Baby.
You soft reset by pressing LR, start, and select.
If he does a slow bounce, that's actually really hard to dodge. And he's not doing it so good.
The fire attack is pretty nice. He does two versions of it, one of which is a fake out. I personally have a really hard time on this shell rally attack,
Yeah.
mostly because hammers in battle, it takes a couple of frames before your hammer is actually ready to release. So if you mess up your input, which is very easy to do, you can just end up taking a hit that feels like it's not your fault.
Dang. It's possible to one-cycle Bowser. Baby Bowser. I've done it before. It's not extremely hard.
He has about 200 HP, 260 HP. This is the stupid mushroom.
The mushroom's a lot better than the attack though. Because that just take more time, I think.
222.
So Junior has 750 HP. I say Junior because he looks like Bowser Jr. even though he's actually Baby Bowser. And Bowser has 1,000. So he has 474 remaining.
And after about 60 hits in the coffee flower, there's a huge increase in increase in the speed, and it's pretty difficult to keep it going much past 60.
The transition from fast to really fast is what gets me every time.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
That's why part of what makes the task enjoyable, just seeing, hundreds upon hundreds of copy flowers until an enemy is just dead in one turn. Solid fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Solid.
For not excluding the reset, yeah.
So have you practiced light skip in the ship?
Yep, we're gonna do it. It's a fairly new
Yes.
trick.
You saw I got a mushroom, right?
What? I'm sorry, I
You
didn't.
saw you got a mushroom.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There are fights where you don't want to get a mushroom because it wastes time on the final sets of fights. You don't want a mushroom drop on Commander Shroom, Elder Shoeboy. You don't want a mushroom drop on those. I don't know how common a mushroom drop is, but
Yeah, it's definitely pretty common on Bowser.
Mushroom Dripe, yeah.
So that was the last fight that uses Dire Pow. In the next area, we're not going to actually have any boss fight, although it really wants you to think that there's going to be a boss fight in this dungeon. Shortly after that, we will have access to a shop which will give us a new set of equipment, which I'll get into once we get there. Yeah, I forgot how to English, which is why we're running on the European version of the game.
Thought they spoke European in Europe. What is this? So it's really new, and it's really unique how it works. It looks really cool.
I'm back. Did the stream die without me? Dang.
Yeah, you missed a stream death.
It may back up. Yeah.
These shrooms are awful. They're really tricky to dodge.
Okay. It's back up, so yeah, we're good.
So we're gonna use spring storage a little differently this time.
This is one of the most unique skips in the game. You're getting baby Luigi under the spring, and now bringing the adult all the way to the spike pit. And then taking the spring at the same time as going to the spikes. We get control of Mario during the spikes cutscene, which actually lets us walk through walls, because during that cutscene, Mario has the walk through walls ability, and by canceling it, we keep it and can go through the barrier blocking that puzzle, and can just go straight to the loading zone.
So from now on, there's going to be a few skips. You saw that there were a few in the beginning, and now this near the end part, it has a bunch of skips as well. So should be interesting for you guys to see how these work. The upcoming skips in Toad Town are actually like really crazy. So. And oh no, the plot twist. Princess Peach was actually Princess Shroob all along.
But we kind of have a twist of our own here. In that this Shroob was a traitor. And I don't know why, but she never actually fires at the princess. And none of them actually fire back.
Yeah.
So, this screen really wants you to think that there's a boss at the end here. There's like 2 save points right before this part.
Again, this is a pretty long cutscene. You can't take a break either, because you gotta mash. I know most of the spots for the one of the deluxes, so there's one in this room right here. Just gonna grab it so we don't have to actually like buy some in the shop. Yeah, it seems like this area was meant to be longer, and there was supposed to be a boss fight at the end. But they had to scrap it, because keep in mind this game was only made in like 2 years. So...
It was also a very early DS game. Like, this came out within a year of the DS's initial release. This ain't good. I just love the bit of Luigi fluttering as he tries to stay in the air.
Alright, yep. And they, Bowser Jr., or Baby Bowser's here.
This is important for later. Although that doesn't come up for quite some time.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too important, but it's pretty important.
I like this scene because Baby Bowser hides, the Shroob just wonders what's happening, and then he goes back to Eva laughing. Alright, so apparently the way to break a fall from hundreds of feet in the air is to land on the head of some unsuspecting toad.
Also, getting hit in the head restores your memory.
Alright, so here's Toad Town. Another fabulous area.
Little fun fact, there's a save block on the first screen. It's on the outside on the U version, but it's on the inside of the shop on this version. Or sorry, I think I have that in reverse.
No, you're right. It's on the outside in the U version.
Doing this shop, we're gonna get the risk badges, which are gonna replace the Power badges. So the risk badges do up to 3 times as much damage if you have no mushrooms in your inventory. Basically, there's more damage for having fewer mushrooms in your inventory.
Yeah, it's the antithesis of the Mush Badge from Superstar Saga.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, having few in this game, mushrooms actually include one-ups, which they didn't in Superstar Saga. So the optimally, you would have no one-ups for the rest of the game, but that's just incredibly unsafe. So we're just going to have the bare minimum number of one-up mushrooms that we need for the rest of the game. So this glitch has potential to soft lock, so it's a good idea to save.
Yeah, I saved.
Yeah.
Alright.
This is pretty complicated. He's gonna put the babies right here first.
And what he's gonna try to do is get the adults on the top screen using the spin trick, which, there you go.
And then
Now he's got the adults on the top screen, switched over to the babies, and now the adults are out of bounds. So he wants them the babies right next to the wall so he can pick them up and carry them out of bounds and throw them past this grate. And the adults are still out of bounds, which is important because we're going to do that exact same thing, only with the babies on a different screen. So this skips a long puzzle in Toad Town where you have to kind of split the adults and the babies and just do a bunch of puzzles.
Alright, that was a very clean Toad Town.
Nice.
yeah, that was pretty good.
Now we're coming up
So
to
going to
the real
go into
banger.
more detail on how that works. So if you have the babies in a top screen and the adults leave to the next room, the babies will leave to the bottom of the screen. But if you have the adults in the top screen, it's supposed to happen in normal game, and the babies leave to another screen, the adults stay in the top screen. So it's a really easy way to get top screen storage. And a way to think about it is anytime you can get the adult on a top screen, it is top screen storage because the game doesn't check for what room the babies are in.
The trade-off to that, though, is if at any point you ever need to load the screen where the adults are on the top screen, the game will soft lock. So you need to make sure that you move the adults off of the top screen as quickly as possible. Like, if you don't want to go through any screen transitions with them on the top screen.
I actually need some more red shells, so we might have to make a pit stop later on.
It's alright with how many crashes there have been, or how many stream issues there have been. I don't think this is world record. I'm sorry if I disappoint anyone by saying that.
Yeah, this is my favorite boss in the game. I don't know about everybody else.
It's my favorite too.
Yeah, me too, I love it.
Also, I should point out the area theme around here. While the area is short, the music is so good. So the strategy here is actually to use copy flowers on the middle shrew because you want to kill that shrew who has 120 or 180 HP. And then once you've taken care of him, the next target the copy flowers will work on is the one behind him. You want to kill the two on the back, so the one in the front gets crushed by the bomb and the bomb rolls backwards. If you kill the two in the front, the bomb rolls towards you and it's an unavoidable hit, and that would kill us at this point. If you kill the ones on the outside, it's 50-50. Which obviously we don't want to happen.
He rarely does that attack for me, so...
Yeah,
nice and fast.
So, probably 2 copy flowers to kill him now.
Yeah, I usually need 2.
He has 900 HP, so it's not too hard to do that.
Yeah, he has 1300 on you, so again illustrating how much time would be saved.
You can kill the Bob on the U version, but not in this version.
Yeah, so you need to do 374 more, which is like 40 hits on coffee flowers. Unlike super jumps, coffee flowers are the kinds of thing where, because your damage output is not 100% consistent, you can't just say, oh, I need to do exactly this many super jumps.
Alright, we got a
And
1-up
that was-
super, so that's a better drop
pretty
than
nice.
a mushroom drop. That's
The one.
that's the biggest downgrade from Superstar Saga. They don't have nuts in this game. They only have mushroom drops.
And so ends our short stay at Star Shrine. Or Star Hill. And we're going to Star Shrine. So the Cobalt Star wants to speak with us now that we are at the Den of the Stars. And it mentions the whole story of how it was broken up in the battle against the Shroobs. And it turns out the Cobalt Star is the key to entering Shroob Castle, the final dungeon of the game, once we've completed it. Or at least once we've gotten 5 shards, because there are 6 pieces to it. The thing with it is, though,
Okie dokie.
you actually get the warp hole to the final dungeon after completing Ritzy Desert. However, you can't actually go beyond the first screen until you've collected all the first 5 Cobalt Star shards.
There's a way past the Shroom Gate in the first screen of Shroom, and that's the biggest skip, theoretical skip. It's even around 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, the one thing with it is, though, nobody wants that skip to be a thing, because if it becomes a thing, it means we're doing the final boss at level 9 or 10, and that's just gonna make things even harder.
You can't get the risk badge, which really is a problem, because after the second to last boss, you get healed, and so you can't use the Dire Power badge.
So this door judges
That's all
your
good.
this door judges your resolve and decides whether to let you through. But it decides Luigi is not worthy, so he can't go through, and we're done with this game. So that was Partners in Time, everybody. Thank you for. Well, I'm just kidding.
Wow! Ecco, sono arrivato, l'ho visto! Oh no!
So the
Ma sono tutta arrabbiata,
Mario
non ho capito
desperately
tutto il
tries to
passato.
talk the door out of it, and the door says, "All right, I will see if you are worthy if you can find the Aurora block, which is at the very top of this area." So we're gonna throw the babies again, and just roll there ourselves. Because when Snoion earlier said the babies are kind of useless, he wasn't kidding. Also, shoutouts to this music. It's my second favorite song in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty catchy. The first half of this area is pretty boring. Huh. But luckily the second half is a little bit more interesting.
Now we can just roll back. We don't need the babies or anything.
He tells you to hit choice 3, and if you do that, it would save like a few seconds, but I'm just mashing through.
Oh no.
I'm pretty sure everybody mashes through this text. Nobody actually like tries to time hitting the answer 3.
Yeah, the door cheats. He says he gives you 3 answers, and the correct answer is secret answer number 4, which you cannot pick. So everyone in the party stands up for Luigi. You guys are truly amazing.
Alright, here's the last peekaboo.
Luigi!
And so this is how big Luigi's heart is. The scene is very endearing in my opinion.
Yeah, if you take the time to read all that text, Stargate is actually pretty funny. We're gonna save here, because things are about to get crazy.
This is another trick which you can potentially soft lock, or at least get utterly, or at least waste a lot of time if you mess it up, if you do the wrong thing. Although it's pretty consistent, so that shouldn't happen. So we're gonna chuck the babies here. The only thing that matters for the babies is that we set them to a specific screen. Because we're going to use top screen storage on this screen here. So with a nearly pixel perfect jump, you can actually get the adults onto this platform and then into this screen. Nice, second try. That jump is way harder than it looks. If the adults hit the spikes in this dark room, that will soft lock the game. So now that we have them on the top screen, we bring them back to the bottom screen by exiting, and this sets their position to on top of this star, allowing them to go back on the top screen, and then bringing them back to this screen will set them out of bounds and allow us to hit the loading zone into the next screen. And that just skipped an entire puzzle where you have to walk around the 5 star points twice in order to create a star shape that'll create the path forward. So that just saved a ton of time.
It's a pretty crazy skip. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it works the same way as the Toad Town glitches.
It takes a while to get used to because the most important part of it is actually the initial jump to get the first top screen storage, and that jump only has a few pixels. It takes practice to get. I still am fairly inconsistent with it.
Oh yeah.
I just call this Star Shrine Interior, because it's like the inner works of Star Shrine. Yeah, so we're on 4:15 pace, I guess. That's not too bad considering all that's happened so far.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes from the boss here to the end of the run.
Let's go. Okay.
I'd say probably 410. I'm just saying 415 to be my worst case scenario.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, the final area is like, oh, here's ball hop. There we go.
So that's ball hop. It does nothing. It's
Coolest
something.
skip.
It's a trick from Dream Team that somebody found you could do once or twice in this game.
I went the wrong way, but luckily you can just like fall down and come back.
Also, as a note, anytime you're under very very narrow little crevices, the timer resets, so you still have 4 seconds before the babies return to normal size. So it's not like a race to get to where you need to go.
There are a couple other ways to get to this room. There's a task strat that you can jump in and out of the little cracks in the wall and skip some movements, but that's pass only. And then the other strat is you only, and it involves doing a ledge clip and then warping all the way up to the top of the room.
I should mention what the risk badges formula is. I think it's ×3, and then you lose 0.1 for every mushroom that you have. So if you have 5 mushrooms, your damage output is ×2.5, which is the same as Dire Pow, I think.
Yeah, I want to say it's 0.08, but I don't know for sure.
Well,
That is.
the drawing really didn't want me to uncover it, so...
Yeah, the one touchscreen integration feature is off 2005 technology. But yeah, that reveals a hint at one of this game's biggest twists.
Alright, we're going for the red shell kill here. Let's see.
Let's go.
Yeah, so this is a boss that looks a lot like the first enemy we fought as the adults. Although this one is much harder. This is Elder Shervoid. Getting a counterattack here is always nice. He has 2 phases, and I think they combine for 1800 HP. It's like 3000 on English, or on U English.
It's 1,000 for the first phase and 900 for the second phase, I think.
Yeah.
The red shells are faster. They do more damage per second than copy flowers, but they're a lot harder. And they can only hit ground targets. But in this case, copy flowers won't work since it's a spiked enemy.
I believe he's also weak to ice flowers.
Yeah.
Alright, that was really bad, so we can't go for that kill. No way I would get it.
Should be at about 350 HP left. Now that he's on the ground, we can just copy flowers.
Uh-oh, surprise. He has a second phase.
Green shells have a max of 16 hits, so they're not even infinite attacks, and red shells are infinite. And red shells also do more damage.
So this guy grew to gargantuan size and allows us to counterattack him by repeatedly smacking him in the face.
That's unfortunate. Oh, he's not dead. Hog champ, dude. Hog champ.
Also,
Yeah, so he bought a piece of armor for Luigi, or a piece of clothes for Luigi in Toad Town. He didn't buy it for Mario because we're gonna get something in the final dungeon. There's only one of it, which is why we get it for Mario, because Mario will do more damage. But we get it basically so Luigi can survive a hit. It only lowers your offense by 5, and having the ability for Luigi to take a hit is important because you don't want to run through all your 1-ups. The final boss fight is a bit of a marathon in and of itself. Clean fight.
We got the ultra drop, so that's not good.
Ooh.
There's a way to get rid of it though. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, Luigi has... Oh, no, you get a full heal right now. I was gonna say, you could probably just use it on Luigi right now, because you do have a party member with that health, but I think you heal full.
Yeah, we have to waste a turn on Princess Shroob anyway, so it's all good. I got the strats. Yeah, so this is the level we're going into the final boss as.
And now we have our stars. All the Cobalt Star shards we need to enter the final dungeon.
Unfortunately, right as they're about to tell us an important thing about the Cobalt Star, especially why Toadbert didn't want us collecting the shards, they were turned into shrooms.
Since this run had a bunch of stuff happen, we're not gonna go visit Fawful.
Yeah, so we end up back in the sewers. You can actually find Fawful in the sewers, and if you find him, he will open up a bad shop that you can trade beans, which if you've noticed any of these X marks on the ground, you can get beans. And collect them and trade them later. Oh, that encounter!
We got attacked by Luigi, so that's actually good for later on.
Yeah. Oh, you did that on purpose.
No,
Okay.
I didn't mean to. I mean, but it works out in the end.
Yeah, that way you can use the mushroom drop. Because you can't use healing items if your party members are already full. I like how Fawful just appears on both of these screens.
Dang,
You
I
just,
should have
like,
just said I
walk
did that
right
on
by you.
purpose.
RNG manipulation, it's the speedrunner's excuse.
Alright, so we're getting ready to go into the final area of the game.
Oh no.
This used to be pretty long, but now it's pretty short.
Alright, so now we can approach the final dungeon. I should also mention, the Fawful cutscene when you go and visit Fawful is probably one of the funniest in this entire game, because it's Fawful, why wouldn't it be? I definitely recommend, if you haven't played this game and aren't intending to, which you should, to at least watch that cutscene. I can find it on YouTube. Yeah, he is planning for his next game. It was a really nice little thing that the developers threw in here.
Alright, I was intending on showing off some glitches, but we're pretty far behind, so...
I'm actually kind of curious what the quirks of Fawful are on the Japanese. Because in the English version, he just speaks in really oddly formed sentences.
I also was wondering that about the Thwomps, because they use broken English. I wonder how that translates.
Okay.
I like how Luigi's just hesitant, and Mario's just like, "You're gonna go, right? Right?" Luigi's like, "Fine."
Alright, so we're gonna start breaking this dungeon right away.
Oh,
There's
this
one
dungeon,
sec-
it's great.
Yeah.
The final dungeon is the most broken dungeon in this entire game.
There's this one technique that we've been able to do for a while, but it's only useful here, or in this dungeon.
So we call this baby cake spin. What it is it allows us to store the height from a jump by flattening the babies, having them jump just before they reach normal size, and doing a spin just before that. And what that will do is get them more height than they normally can get from a spin jump. That allows us to skip that dark room puzzle, but that's not going to be the last time we use it. We actually use it 3 times in this dungeon, and each one breaks this dungeon more than the last. So he goes into this pipe room so that it resets the enemy positions on the screen with the adults. And that makes it easier to deal with. So he's gonna go grab a piece of armor called the space trousers, or space pants on the Japanese. I'm used to calling them space pants, so they're space pants to me, and I think that sounds funnier. Anyways, that's just better equipment for Mario. So we're gonna use the baby cake spin one more time here. And this will allow us to...
Yeah, to normally get up on the ledges, you have to do pretty much like half of the dungeon.
Are you gonna use the mushroom drop?
I'm gonna use it in the Princess Shrew battle. Because we have to waste a turn there anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these railings, there was an old way to actually get up here, but you still had to hit the lasers on the sides of the area, which you can see on the top screen. By using this, we're able to get to the railings on the top of on the side of the walls earlier, and just skip to the very end of the final dungeon. But we would, in order to break the barrier surrounding that pipe, we would need to light the lasers on the top left and right sides of the screen. So we're going to skip doing that too by using another baby cake spin over here. Just taking this particular way to dodge encounters.
And this is one more ledge that just is slightly too high to reach with the normal baby spin. Perfectly easy to reach with the cake spin. And we're pretty much at the end of the dungeon now.
This pipe takes us to the very end of the dungeon. So we've bypassed everything in this dungeon. We've bypassed the sewer, we bypassed lighting the lasers, we bypassed the first ship minigame, and just gone pretty much straight to the final boss.
Yeah, that was pretty clean. Alright, we're at 3.5
Hold off for just a second. I think the stream is catching. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Alright, yeah.
Alright, so we entered the final cutscene, or the final... the point of no return. So, Princess Peach is telling us... is freaking out because we told her that we've been collecting the Cobalt Star Shards. But, you know, before anyone gets a chance to say anything about it, as has been the case a lot with this game, Peach gets the statue tower that we're in gets attacked again. So we need to put a stop to that mothership.
Alright, I'm not gonna save here before the UFO minigame. Hopefully we don't die.
I mean, I would assume you have a backup save anyway.
Yeah, backup save somewhere. You can continue from Peach's castle anywhere once you die. So... Alright, so hopefully we can get a really fast UFO minigame. It looks pretty impressive if you get it really fast.
Pretty difficult to get fast though. Let's see.
So yeah, so the point of this minigame is you need to shoot 4 of her ships back at her.
So that was close to a double. If you hit 2 saucers at once, you can get 2 hits off the mothership at once. But it's oddly precise.
Yeah, this minigame's pretty easy. The one thing is she can end up going off screen, and that wastes a little bit of time. So very clean, very, very clean.
Ha 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 ha. Alright.
Ha 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 ha. So the nice thing about this game is Stuffwell will let you go back to before this fight, so that way this game doesn't actually have a point of no return for that it sticks you with. And now we enter the true final boss of the game. So this is Princess Shroob.
Mario.
Alright, so like I said, I'm gonna waste a turn in this fight, because basically you don't want her to get into Fury mode. Because that would just waste a lot of time. So you would waste a turn here anyway. Even if you didn't, even if you did have an extra mushroom.
Let's go.
So this, as I've mentioned, this being at 30 FPS, she has a flickering shield that you need to do a certain number of hits to break. It's based on the number of hits, though. It's not based on it's not based on any health value. It turns red and then purple. Once it's turned purple, if you do a few hits, it'll break. Yeah, a lot of people have not beat this boss, and a lot of people passionately dislike this boss because, as I mentioned earlier on in the run, most people who play this game on the U version, the North American release, played this boss at a ridiculous health value. This form has 2,500 HP on English, on U English, North American version, whatever. It has 1,700 on this phase on Japanese and PAL, or European.
So
Technically, oh god.
Snoion's probably going to defeat her in 3 copy flowers. And if he did 2 copy flowers before she got an attack, her attack would be a lot longer and harder to dodge. That's the reason he waits to be turned before, so that this attack will be a normal attack. And then the goal is to not let her attack at all again.
The star attack's nice because it's pretty easy to just jump on the star and end the attack on the first spin around. But yeah, so across the 3 phases of this final boss, because you knew they weren't going to make this the only final boss phase. It has 5,500 on European and Japanese versions, and either 8,500 or 9,000 on the North American version. I don't remember exactly which. So it's a big drop off in health.
Right, hopefully this kills. It should.
Yeah, you did about 1,400, so yeah, a decent copy flower should end this.
Yeah. So like I said, the peppers, they run out randomly. And right there, it just ran out on Mario.
Very clean first phase, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So phase 2, I don't want to take any damage. That's just a failsafe for Princess Shroom. Second phase gives me a really bad attack. If you...
So,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna explain the story behind this cutscene.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Peach has the final shard and insists that Baby Bowser, who spoilers was on the who not spoilers, but who, if you remember right, was on the ship, and now he finishes the Cobalt Star, which the Cobalt Star we met at Star Hill was actually lying to us. It turns out that the Cobalt Star was sealing away an even greater threat, which is the older Princess Shroom. So Princess Peach actually fought 2 Princess Shrooms and was able to seal away one of them, but the younger one took over. So Board, the reason why we got it was because, first of all, we thought it was good, and because it seemed to be, and it seemed to drive the Shrooms mad. So we thought it was a way to counter them. And it was also the means of entering the final dungeon. You're given tips. That's what the whole painting that or drawing that Toadbird gives you is that there were actually 2 Princess Shrooms. So now we have to fight a bigger and far creepier Princess Shroom. Sorry, you're gonna say something as well, Snoion?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, if we don't take any damage here, then that allows us to actually take damage if she gives us her worst attack in her second phase.
Yeah. The first phase of this fight, though, will be accompanied by Princess Peach, and she can throw healing mushrooms at us if we're low on health. So this is I wouldn't compare it to Cagletta in Superstar Saga any percent, but this is still pretty widely considered one of the hardest bosses in this game, or the hardest boss in this game. Just because there's so much to it. That attack where she's standing on the ships on the top screen, you have to watch her hands in order to figure out how to avoid.
And this is pretty standard. Use a red shell and a copper flower. Or red pepper, sorry.
So 643. This fight has 1800. That charge attack she does is really annoying. You have to watch her face for a visual cue. So the preferred attack she gives you is all three ships give you this, like all three ships go and pick up a meteor that she will try and slam on you, but you can hit her a bunch of times with counterattacks. But if you drop inputs even once, she will insta-kill you. So that did 240, so you've done 904 damage so far. You should be able to kill her this turn.
Next phase is gonna have 2,000 HP. A lot more on US.
Alright, I'm muting Mike. BRB, gotta focus.
Yeah, this is a really tricky fight. Oh, 74. So, Snoion also picked up a couple of mixed flowers earlier. Those will be used against this boss because they hit all foes for a good amount of damage. The tentacle attack is really annoying, and it's very easy to get hit.
Mantis survived it though, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's why we pick up the armor in Toad Town and the space trousers. Also, shoutouts to this final boss theme. It's pretty epic. Need to listen to the audio cues for that one. It's a little awkward because the one near Mario jabs instantly, while the one near Luigi takes a little bit of extra time. Each of her body parts has an attack, which makes this first turn just take an age. You just duplicated. You just duplicated the red peppers, even though he had the peppers effect on. That's kind of a thing that happens because of muscle memory. Usually it's not uncommon to just lose them outright.
So they actually defeated the foot, which is good, but also you don't really need to defeat it right away.
Yeah, the
That was
foot.
pretty impressive.
You do need to take out the tentacles on the feet because otherwise you can't hit the crown. And if the crown is active, the head only takes 1 damage a hit, and you need to hit the head in order to finish this boss. OBS, please.
What? Oh, it's the capture card gone out. Oh no. The stream is still up, but the capture card is messed up, yeah. That's bad.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, we're good. Yeah,
So this is mixed flowers. I think he got a lucky on one of the tentacles. That's why one of them is dead.
So now that the crown is deactivated, he can start doing more damage to the head, which is what you actually need to defeat.
Yeah, this form has 2,000 HP on the European version. I should say that I refer to it as the European version because PAL only refers to discs that run on TVs.
He does not have much HP left at all. Probably 100 or 200. Or even less.
The 3 tentacle spin is one of the hardest attacks to dodge in the game. Oh man,
Oh!
that was painful.
Wow.
That was painful to watch.
This turn should be it.
GG.
Yay!
Yeah, we did it. That was a pretty sexy fight, not gonna lie.
You had me worried there with that.
Oh
with
yeah,
that
I was
last
definitely
hit on
worried.
the
I,
last hit on the
I
tentacles.
thought it was over.
Alrighty, so for all intents and purposes, that is the final boss of the game. It is not time, as a few people in chat have pointed out. Time happens on the very last text box.
So yeah, that was pretty clutch, because it would have been like nearly over if I died there.
Alright. At least you got to the end of the fight.
Yeah. I mean, that was the best time for it to happen, at least, I guess.
Alright, so you just missed a very important cutscene here. So, Baby Mario jumps on top of Baby Luigi, and he starts crying on top of the shroom that was formerly known as Baby Bowser. And that turns out to be the cure. So, the cure for the shrooms, for anything shroom, basically, what defeats it is the tears of crying babies.
Alright, so you guys didn't miss anything, trust me.
Trust me, you missed the tears of, you missed hundreds of millions of gallons of crying baby tears. Or a solution effectively the same, that effectively emulates that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, usually streaming isn't a problem for me, so I thank you guys for sticking around through this.
Yeah, technical difficulties are no fun.
Yeah.
So, thank you everybody for sticking around. Honestly, this has been a pretty solid run outside of that. You haven't made, like, any particularly horrible mistakes.
Yeah, this would be really close to like a 402 or a 401.
Yeah, money glitch was a little slow, spike tip a little slow, and you had to like reset once on Bowser, but like everything else was really good.
Alright, so I'm not Amwanu. I don't know how to clutch this fight out, alright? This fight would actually be like a whole lot scarier if gate skip was found or something like that.
So, one last little thing to deal with is Bowser here. And it turns out we actually have the Elder Princess Shroom Mushroom, but not one to give up without one last fight. Snarfle? She awakens Bowser, and we have one last thing to accomplish here.
Luigi, let's go. Let's go. Oh,
It's about 10 minutes from this time, I think. So, not even that, probably like 7.
Yeah, so this is Shrouzer. Shrouzer's gimmick is he never lets you attack. So you just have to dodge and counter everything he does.
Yeah, so this fight's pretty straightforward. The final boss. The real final boss.
As a note, some of the attacks have visual cues on the top screen, so if for whatever reason you're struggling to avoid some of these attacks, you can just watch the top screen. Like, that attack, she aimed at Luigi. You see the tentacle aim at Luigi.
And there you go, that's the final boss. kind of a joke when compared to the real final boss, but whatever.
And with that, the game is basically done. So time is on the final text box, which is babies, thank you. So that's like 3 or 4 minutes from now. Alright, so big just want to give a big, pretty good time. Just want to give a big thank you to Alta Biscuit for tirelessly restreaming this marathon. This marathon last year is what actually got me to pick this game up, and I've enjoyed it ever since. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks for letting me run this game. It's a great game.
Thanks for keeping up with all the difficulties, and hopefully that we'll continue through the next run.
So if you're wondering about that cookie, worry no more.
Great job on the run.
Yeah, we were about 8.5 minutes behind at the beginning, and with a few other technical difficulties. Yeah, so I closed my splits, so I don't even know what the time's gonna be.
Well, considering 1,000 Year Door was scheduled to be at 3:05 my time zone,
Yeah,
that's about right on time.
Oh dang, we're right on time. I would ask if we have time to show one glitch. It'll take like 5 minutes at most. If not, it's fine. I understand. And time.
.406, nice.
Alright, so I'm gonna show you guys one glitch. It's on the US version. It's U exclusive. It's a really funny glitch, so you guys should stick around to watch this.
It's kind of hard to really say that the 406.25 was truly accurate because of how many timer stops and all that, but...
Oh yeah, 406.25 is really good for considering what happened. Considering I was 9 minutes behind. Alright, I have a save set up here. And, yeah. Wrong save. So, we're gonna go to a parallel universe, just like Mario 64. Dang it, I missed it. Alright. Well, we gotta get this really fast. We're on a time crunch right here. Alright, so... Alright, we got it. Alright. So we're going to Bowser's Castle. Oh, just kidding. We're actually in a parallel universe right now. This is called the time hole glitch. It's extremely useless. There's no collision in this room right here. But there is one room I need to show you. It's very important. Alright, here we are. Thanks for watching, guys. I